Now we're recording and we can get started. So I've got participants on. Hello, hi. We're just a little discombobulated today. So welcome to Sidestreet for people who are on Zoom and also for people who might be walking by at the gallery. And my name is Michelle and I'm a member at Sidestreet. And this is our opening reception for our two wonderful feature artists this month that you cannot walk by this window without stopping to look. It's been really fun to watch people look as they go by. So we have two of our feature artists here today, Sara Swink and Gail Owen, who is also a member. And you two have shown together before, haven't you?
No, nope. I just handled her work before.
Oh, yeah. I thought you two had actually shown together before. So it's a perfect match. As you can see from this is the front page of our website here. So we are recording this today. And if you miss any of it, or if you're coming in later, we've got the address, the website information on here. So I have every piece that's in the show on a slide deck here, and we're just going to talk a little bit about it. We'll talk about methods and processes on our Sunday. Where's the card? Here's the card. Sunday, the 20th of September, we'll do our brunch reception. That's going to be from noon to 1 on Sunday, September 20th. And that's when Gail and Sara will talk a little bit about their process and maybe have demos in their studio or maybe even run a demo from inside the gallery. We'll see what we can get going for that. But so process questions kind of hold on to. If you have questions while we're talking about stuff, you can put them in the chat. If you are new to Zoom and don't know about the chat, probably go up to the little 3 dots that say more, and there'll be chat in there. And if there's a question that we need to ask sort of right away, we'll do that. Or also another gallery member, she can answer just some general questions in the chat. So we'll get started. And the first piece that is up, I've got everybody mixed together here. I love this bird watching the fish. I think they're really, really cute together. They're just watching each other. So we'll get started. I think we've got Gail's first. Let me get on. Oh, and I am off of here. Play. Something is not right. Wherever. There we are.
Nope, that's not Gail's.
Okay, so we are starting with Sara since she's our guest. There is Sara's first one, Mr. Tiger. And I don't have the size, I do have the sizes on some of them, but they're all bigger than you might think. They're nice major pieces. So for people who are unfamiliar with your work, Sara, what's with the animals and the critters and stuff? Because they are.
Well, this particular tiger, I've been doing lots of big cats this year, and I am very fond of cats and big cats. They show up a lot. And earlier this year, I did a blue tiger, which I liked so much. It's one of the few pieces that I've ever kept. It lives on my dresser. Mm-hmm. And I just got this idea during while sketching in my sketchbook to combine an orange and black stripe with the blue and black stripe, and I could not let go of the idea, and so I did it. And then the way this guy came out, I thought he looked. I almost called the piece "Old Mr. Tiger," but I didn't want to scare anybody with that word "old." But I do think it has something to do with combining the sort of spiritual with the earthly, with the blue and the earthy colors. Oh, nice. And it really satisfied that thing that I saw in the sketch that I could not shake. And I can't believe that piece is not 8 inches tall. It's bigger than that. It's got to be.
I thought so. Yeah, it's sitting on a pedestal by itself. As a matter of fact, I think we can see it. I think that's it on, or close to it, on the first pedestal. If you can see all the different pedestals and stuff. Yeah, he takes up some serious space. Maybe I typed it wrong. Mr. Tiger. I love that you combine the animals too, and they start. Oh, he's 15 by 8 by 7. Yeah. There we go. Typo for Michelle. Okay, yeah, I didn't do my copy and paste correctly. Yeah, 15 by 8 by 7. So he's a real good size. And I love your combinations of animals too. I think those are great. And we'll see a lot more of that. And his sort of laconic look too, he's so un-tiger-like.
Yeah. Oh, I think he's mellowed out with age, you know. He's
Yes.
he's kind of kicking back and looking at things in a different way now.
Yeah.
Not so fierce.
And then I think now we go to Mount Hood.
This, a little bit about myself. I became a full-time artist about 6 years ago, and it was a life change. So I started printmaking, and this was my first piece. It's a pretty big accomplishment. It's 9 blocks. I have a very small etching press, so everything that goes through there has to be under 9 inches at the time. So this was a huge thing. I wanted to make a big piece, and I put 9 blocks out. I drew the mountain, and I roughed the trees in, and then I just went for it. So it's 9 block reduction. It's 9 colored layers. And then this was the piece where I realized I had to stitch all of my work together. It was a really difficult decision. At the beginning, the first 2 I did, I won't want to go into process because this is about the history of where I went. I did try to make a frame by welding brass rods together, and then just to hide the seams of my small prints. And then I realized, no, I've got to sew it. So this was the piece that made me go that way.
And I love your story, Gail, of taking those things that were limitations or adversities and just hanging them on a lamppost, and putting them out there. And it's really made your work so individual and so recognizable, and so handmade. I love the stitching. And I love this piece too. It takes up, it's a statement. It's gorgeous. And if you come in the gallery, you'll see it on the back. It's on the, when you come in, it's, when you walk in and see the length of the gallery, it's on that far back wall. And even from a distance, I think my favorite part is the little swirl there under the small clouds. I love this.
Yeah,
they're like fingerprints,
I was actually, this is actually the last piece available. So this is the last time if it sells it, I can't sell this anymore. So it's the last one.
And with reduction, I know Gail's going to go into the meaning of a reduction linoleum print, but there can never be another edition. You'll never be able to print these again because by the time you're done, the plates are destroyed.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, this is it.
It took 2 months. This is the one piece that took me about 2.5 months to print and dry and then figure out how to stitch it together. So that's it.
It's, how can you even part with it? Okay, let's see. Okay. Ravenous heart, your little, rabbits show up a lot in your work too, I think, don't they, Sara?
Oh, lots and lots of rabbits, yes. Now this one is from, I work, and I'm going to talk about this more when we do the brunch, about I work off of collage on paper. And this came from an image of a girl eating a goblet, eating from a goblet of strawberries, and the goblet was as big as she was. And strawberries are often called by Native people heartberries because they look like a heart. And so this is about appetites and trying to sometimes quell other kinds of hungers with food.
I love the little drip on her lip. If you're on a good sized screen, you can see, is that a little drip of juice?
Yes, that's a little bit of strawberry juice there. Yes.
And this is the beginning of, there are 14 of these, I think, your little Day of the Dead Wallies, and they're what, about 9 inches or so?
Yeah, 9 or 10 inches.
And
right
they're on the wall. They're going to be popping up all throughout here. There's something wonderful about your finish, and again, we'll talk about in the process. They almost look like they're just painted, like it's just, like school paints or something that are on there, the matte finish. It doesn't look like a glaze.
Well, they're underglazes.
Okay,
underglazes aren't shiny, and I tend to go for surfaces that aren't shiny. You'll see, even though many glazes aren't shiny, I do a lot of work with underglazes because I love intense colors, and I like playing around with combinations of those colors. In fact, the Seven Skulls guy there is an anomaly for me to just have all blue like that. That's pretty unusual. But these, it's getting to be that time of year of Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead. And I thought this year it kind of had a special resonance because of the pandemic, with all the losses of life. So it's about remembering those we've lost, and certainly have had many of those. And then this new kind of loss that's still going on that we're dealing with. So they kind of have that special, and yet they're playful, because that's just, even when I'm doing a piece that's about a tragedy, there's something usually kind of humorous or playful that comes through.
Yeah, it is I think it's easier for us to all see the real meaning of Day of the Dead, of remembrance. And it's the 2 days together, right? All Souls and All Saints. So those are wonderful. And they just blow me away. All of these do. So here we go. She's in the alcove. She is, if you look through the door, and we keep the alcove lit all the time. If you look through the door, you can see her.
Now you can see that those are almost all glazes on that one, which of course is more of the process stuff. But I've done many, many, many mermaids over the years. And this one was inspired by an illustration I saw in Raw Vision magazine, which is outsider art. And I'm very inspired by outsider art. This doesn't look anything like the illustration, but it ended up in a collage that I was doing. And then I took it from there, and I was planning to, and I did go to teach a workshop on the coast. And so I had to have a mermaid for that.
Of course.
Of course, yeah. And then the little flower is actually, it's glued in there on a wire. So it can't break off. It'll bend, but it won't break off, which I'm very pleased by. Those little nerdy things make me happy.
And I love her goggles, that she's wearing goggles.
Yes.
Yeah. She's about a little over a foot high.
Yeah.
So sticking with the water here, this is right behind the mermaid in the gallery.
This piece,
This is new, right, Gail? This is a new one?
Yeah, well, actually, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this piece was made for the Lansu Chinese garden, and I had an issue with how do I finish the water motif, and then Donna had her accident. She fell down and broke her hip, and I just said, whatever I have done is going to the Lansu. I can't, this is too important of a print to waste just by being in a hurry. So sometimes I'll sit on a piece for a long time until I can resolve it. And then after sitting on it for so long, I realized I didn't want to mess it up with the water motif. It needs to be flat. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors. I might have hit the blue twice, so it might have been 6. So yeah, I just said, whatever. This is a 4-block linoleum reduction. Like we were talked about before, if I did one more color, I could have screwed up the entire edition just by that last print. So I called it good, sewed together. And so now it's in public. This is the second time it's shown. And and by the way, this is being reproduced by Manolo walls as wallpaper. The seams will be removed for the commercial wallpaper, but
will you see the marcation? Like, will it look like tile as wallpaper?
No, that is only going to, with my original works, they will always be sewn together, and they'll have that. But no, I have my Photoshop people erase that. Erase it, because you know what, if you're doing wallpaper, sometimes you don't want that grid. I want my work to be available for everyone, and that grid would really limit things for my customers. Yeah,
so several of yours, as we go through, be sure to point those out, but several of the ones that we have here are it's a new contract that you just did with Manolo Walls. Is that what it's called? and
Yeah,
you can
pretty
get
excited.
wallpaper, and they're gorgeous. And Gail was showing me the marketing material, and there's some where you have the print hanging on the wallpaper, which is really cool looking.
Yeah,
That would be
thank you.
great wallpaper. Yeah, and you have the best accidents, Gail, or you know how to make the best use of your accidents.
Well, yeah, you can accidentally flip a print and ruin an entire, edition, or you can, stop and wait, because reduction is really a high pressure kind of printmaking. You're not only doing backwards and upside down half the time, but you can't undo your mistakes.
Yeah, yeah. So it was a good thing that you got interrupted. So the art gods are with you. You must be doing all the right prayers. Okay, let's see. Sticking with the sea, we've got the Octo Dolly. These are our 3 water pieces.
I think the Octo Dolly would look very good on a wall with Gail's wallpaper.
Yeah. Octo Dolly, we should put the Octo Dolly there in the alcove with the mermaid and the.
That could be arranged.
I love that he's got his arms and legs and these extra things.
He's one of my favorite of this series. And this was, the pure joy of just riffing on these things. So the more of them I did, the more kind of I get ideas to do it some other way. And he was one of my favorites.
So I have a question. Someone with a really good memory is asking, were you on the OPB art beat?
Yes, I was on I think it was 2013. And you can still see that if you go to their website.
Yeah,
and search by my name.
Okay, yeah, we might put something in the gallery so people can see that. And then a little Luna there. She's got a texture on her.
Yeah, that is a glaze combination. It's actually a black ceramic stain, a mason stain with a glaze that is supposed to be turquoise, but it turns those colors on the clay that I use.
Neat.
Yeah, it's nice.
And this is Sweet One. And Sweet One, I do a lot of pieces that are kind of the Fool. So the Fool is an archetype, and it's often somebody who appears to be stupid or ignorant, but they're often led by kind of inner wisdom and extremely lucky, and not necessarily intellectually smart, but earthy smart. And it's just an idea I really like. So this kind of open mouth and the wide set eyes, and sometimes I do teeth with gaps between. They're all about that kind of, I'm very attracted to that kind of appeal, kind of an innocent appeal.
Are those mouths on the back of him next to the palm tree, or?
They are fruits.
Fruits, okay, I couldn't quite tell on there.
Yeah.
And he's got all these little totem animals around him too. The leopards, I remember the leopards, isn't that, who is it that's going to be the end of the world? Is leopards falling from the sky? Is that
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
my leopards don't talk about the end of the world.
Well, they're the ones. That's what's going to happen. That is the end of the world scenario for, I want to say it's Inca. I can't remember, but there's someone that flaming leopards will fall from the sky, and that's how we'll know that the world is ending. So watch out for that. It's 2020. We've still got some months left for that to happen. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen really soon.
Maybe November 4th, leopards will fall from the sky.
Maybe. I love hearing the stories behind these characters.
And this is Habitat. Yeah. And this piece I did a couple of years ago, but it really took on new relevance this year with the pandemic, because it's about the American habitat of sitting in your chair, like watching TV. But, we remember when the pandemic hit, people were watching a lot of TV, and there was a lot of talk about it on the radio and on podcasts and stuff. And so it kind of just reinforced the idea of this piece. So it's a bird with a tree motif, but she's just, kicking back in her chair.
Yeah. Well, I will say she is mine. And she's going to live right here because she's me. Because I might not be watching TV, but I'm usually sitting there watching birds. That's why I live up here at 800 feet with the fir trees, because I get lots of birds.
Yeah.
She really spoke to me the minute I saw her. Okay, let's see. Another one of your reliefs, Gail.
Michelle, I just have to say that, I've noticed that there's Alcohol Anonymous, there's Drug Anonymous, but there's no Art Buyers Anonymous.
No, it is hard to be in the gallery all the time sometimes, but
Yeah,
yeah.
working for the company store right there, right?
Yeah, well, I'm very fortunate that I had a nice sale last month and a commission coming up. So
That's awesome.
my house needs painting also. So what are you going to do? You're going to buy your house. I'll figure out a way to get my house painted. So you want to talk about this one, the Magnolia?
Yeah. So you'll notice oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little feedback. Does everybody hear me all right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is a 4-block sewn piece. You can see it's a quad. The single piece, when I design my prints, I work with that small matrix, and I think about how I can make something that will be repeating but not boring. And so I really do play dice, and I figure if my rule of thirds is correct in a small format, then it will be good for the eye when it comes together. And I've just been gambling like this my whole time, and so the theory is true.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is 1 block. Oh, actually several blocks. I'm moving away from reduction, and I've gotten pretty good at lining up my plates. So this is probably 4 blocks plus some wipe away layers on the leaves.
Mm-hmm. And
All
when
my
you
work,
go ahead.
Yep. All my work is based on my walks in Northeast Portland. So everything I see, everything repeated in my prints is local.
So they're all native or local plants. What I love, I do like the sort of misalignment, the not perfectness, the kind of wabi-sabi of that, and that these will tessellate, right? So in theory, they could just repeat infinitely, like the way tile patterns do.
I don't always know if it's going to be successful until I can, I'll be printing these blindly, but I'm hoping that my plan worked out, and so far it has.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's that artist instinct, right? And when you see these in person in the gallery, if you've seen Gail's pieces, when she talks about sewing them together, you're like, yeah, right, you're sewing paper together. But they are, by the time you've printed all these colors, it's like sewing leather. These don't feel like paper anymore. They're really heavy. And you invented, we'll talk, I'm sure you'll show that, how you stitch them. You have to poke the holes ahead of time. It's more like lacing than sewing on these. Yeah, they are amazing. And then when you purchase the unframed prints, when they're mounted on a foam core, and she cuts out a little piece on the foam core so you can see the back side, see the process on the back side. But they're really impressive. And there's so much more color going on here than it looks like on a computer screen. The colors are really deep, and they all have a little, I don't want to say like a sparkle, but there's something, they're not matte, they have like a little shine to them often.
It's
like mica in there.
It's called Gamblin's Fabulous Linseed Oil Relief Ink. They have the best ink ever.
Gamblin has the best everything ever, and they're local and they're wonderful. They're great people. There's front, back, and side of little garden chicken here.
Yeah, so garden chicken is it's a couple things. One is chickens and gardens are just good. And the other is these colors. A lot of times the color is what interests me in a piece. And I had, this is related to another piece that I did that I kind of missed. And so it was completely different looking, but it had these colors. And these are appliqued on slabs of clay on this, it's kind of a flat piece with these wide sides to show off the appliques.
Yeah, so the piece is almost like the tip of a mitten. It stands up on its own, but it's kind of flat-ish. Right?
Yeah, so it's
wide.
wide.
About a foot by a foot, yeah.
but if you looked at it from the front, it's fairly narrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those little bunnies. Yeah, gardens, chickens. You can't go wrong with gardens and chickens in your life.
Hello, this is a 1-block reduction. So each quadrant is printed off of 1 block, and that's 4 different colors of purple, and then stitched together. This is a purple crocus that flowers in my neighbor's yard 2 blocks away. Comes out in February.
This one really has a lot. Those areas that look black on here, there's such depth to those colors there when you see them.
All purple.
Yeah.
And I like to let out the pressure of the press to let other layers peek through. So it's purposefully. I'm perfect with my printmaking, but I let purposeful errors happen.
Yeah, and controlling them. That's what it's about. That's why you're, the artist. I want to know the story on this too.
So in March, before we had to quarantine, Kendall Jones, who's a fellow member of Oregon Potters Association, came to my studio at my invitation and taught a portrait workshop. And we had a model, Michelle, who was really wonderful. And we all did these heads. And this is the head that I did in the workshop. And then after the workshop, I had another little figure going that had tattoos and a lemur involved with it. And so I decided to bring those motifs to this one. And so it's called Observe because it's what we did. And, doing a portrait is all about looking and seeing and seeing and seeing what's actually there when you are doing a face and all the features, and having to look at what's actually there rather than what you think a face to be in your mind. And so it's called Observe because of observing the model, and then that's what these guys are doing together. They're observing with their yellow eyes.
Yeah, and you've got those same broad stripes that you had with Mr. Tiger to these.
Yes, well, I've been doing those forever, right from the beginning, especially black and white stripes, but all kinds of stripes. Like many people, stripes mean very...
all kinds of stripes, yeah.
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 And the tattoos are underglaze transfers.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So when you say that you paint them on something and then transfer them on?
Well, I actually bought those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're this new thing people put them on pottery, like Chayo, who has pottery she uses those. You see those are underglaze transfers.
I love those. And we have Kendall Jones in the gallery as well.
And they're a lot of fun to play with. So I've found ways to incorporate them into sculpture. Quite a bit. So I started with the blue ones that are like China patterns. Put those on figures and call them China Dolly Wallies. And then these are the black ones that are, this was to see what I could do that looks sort of tattoo-ish.
Well, and this one almost I think should have been with the ocean ones because she does look like a sailor with the she has her little whales and very nautical looking. Oh, they're spiders. Okay. And then this one, Lulu.
Yeah, that's Lulu. And so Lulu came from my same process of collaging, and I'll show some of that when we do the brunch deal. But this body of work that I'm working on right now, I'm calling, what do I call it? I call it reconciliation and resilience. And what I find happening at this stage in my life is that I'm going back to memories of certain people and events, and they're showing up in the piece. It's not like I'm going out and trying to recreate any events. I'm doing pieces and then it reminds me of someone or something that happened. And this is one of those pieces that reminds me of a story of somebody who I haven't been in contact with for a while, but who had a regular path. She walked home from work, and every day she'd walk by this house, and through the window she saw a poster on the wall that was herself as a child. And this stranger had a poster of her. And so one day she knocked on the door and asked him how he came to have that picture. And he worked at the photo place that blew up the pictures. And so that's how it happened. So it was kind of an amazing picture of her as a little girl. And this reminded me of it.
Lovely.
So,
Yeah, it's really charming. Her little green eyes.
thanks. And this is Claire Goes Job Hunting. So this one, okay, so this came about right at the beginning of the pandemic too, when a lot of people lost their jobs, and I had to cancel my classes and workshops. And so I didn't go literally looking for a job, but it was about me, but it was also about everything that was going on for everyone at the time. And Claire, the name Claire, is named for a ceramic artist, Claire Cunine, who ended up in one of my collages. And so what I did, and I can talk about this in the next thing too, but I took a figure like hers and then I dressed it. So that was a nod to her by naming her Claire. And then the house on the back, I didn't even think of it at the time, but it's kind of relating to being housebound. So.
Mm-hmm. The little hat makes her look very full fashion.
I think the hat is where it's at, you know?
I would give that girl a job.
Hello, this is a 4-block repeating print. I've learned working with wallpaper people that there's this thing called half drop. So what I've incorporated with my repeating patterns is that one block rolls into the next a little bit off. If you'll notice, it's not a grid.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where my work is starting to change from. I'm using multiple blocks and doing half drops. So it adds to the complexity. But I can repeat that. What this does, multiple blocks affords me the ability to change my hues. And it dries faster and I don't have to fret. So that's the new element that's been added to my work. Right.
Is this one going to be wallpaper, or this is just using what you learned from the wallpaper process?
What I do with Manila walls is I say, hey, and her name is Nellie. I say, hey, what do you like? What's your favorite? And then we work with that. Whoops. So
Gail has her muse there.
huh?
You have your muse there with you?
Yeah, he knows my bird is potty trained enough that he knows I don't like him pooping on me.
Okay, thank you. Here's your other tiger. Yeah.
Yes, so this is Marmalade, and I don't remember how I made the tiger head in the first, I mean, you know, what motivated the tiger head in the first place. It probably just came from a sketch. But then I wanted to add the donkey and the rabbit that are their two motifs I work with over and over again. And I work with this idea of predator and prey a lot. So I kind of get a kick out of the prey sitting on top of the predator's head. And they're so sweet, and the rabbit is offering the donkey a piece of toast with marmalade on it. And that reminded me of a postcard that, if you know Lisa Kaiser, who's a well-known Portland artist, we did a trunk show a few years ago, and she did a wonderful drawing that we used on the postcard of a picnic outside. I don't think it had rabbits or donkeys in it. I don't remember, but it reminded me of that kind of sweetness.
They're just so oblivious to the tiger. Yeah. They're very sweet. And I think, was this done for us? I thought I remembered you saying you were working on this for this show, right?
Yeah, I did. And this is called Guatemala because the garment that she's wearing is reminiscent of a huipil, which is that traditional, it's, you know, woven and embroidered Guatemalan garment that women make and wear. And this came from a collage too. And I just was really enamored of the thing that the person in the collage was wearing, which was like this. And then I turned the person into, she was an old woman in the picture. I turned her into a rabbit person, which made me happy. And then she's got her little spirit guide, like Gail has her.
Just like to say, just like Gail. Well, he's got regular legs. He's got people legs.
Funny.
You can just keep looking at these and continue to see more things in them. This girl with her apples.
Sara, I really think that you are, Tater was speaking to you in your dreams.
No doubt. No doubt. I've done many, here's another bird on the head. I think that is, the birds are, they're in flight. They're little spirit animals, metaphorically. And I think I'm very fantasy driven and dream driven, and I have a hard time with reality. So that's probably a reflection of that. Put a bird on it, but there's a reason for that, lightens things up. And this is called Apple. And Apple is a character, this woman, this female that I've done many times before, that goes under the category of imperfect offering. So it's about, one could hold back if any amount when things aren't perfect, but I think putting it out there just as it is, funky and imperfect and approachable is really important to me. And it keeps me able to make stuff rather than get bound up and not able to make stuff out of some sense of perfection.
Yeah, it takes courage too to put it out there.
It does.
I was going to say, Sara, the looks on your characters' faces just really give me a lot of levity. Like, even the one that the piece that you have that you said that was modeled after your dad, that hilarious. I just love the looks of their faces. Just so there's more going on than just one thing. Anyway,
yes.
On to the piece. Yeah,
Thank you.
This piece is a single block repeating. So that was kind of a challenge. So it's just two colors right there, sewn together. 6 blocks.
That's amazing. It's hard to even see the pattern repeat in there. It still looks like they're scattered.
And honestly, I made this. I was trying to make a muted profile for Sara. I knew that this show was coming up, and I was getting more time in my shop. And I was like, oh, I just want to make something simple and muted because I know Sara's so bold. I didn't want to overpower it, so that I did these two pieces, the fern and the red cedar.
Yeah, these pieces combined are beautiful in the gallery. It's a really nice pairing. They don't fight, but they each enhance each other so much.
Yeah, this is Natasha. Natasha has another one of those reconciliation stories to it. The piece grew out of a collage once again. I take pictures and just combine them with other things, and then the naming of it is where the story came into it. So when I was about 21, I was studying martial arts, and I got involved sort of right off the bat with a guy who was also studying martial arts. And one night, we were not seeing each other that long, maybe, I don't know, a couple months or something. And one night I had a dream that he had a blonde girlfriend, and that I was pretty surprised by this. And I told him the dream, and it turned out it was true. And so I put a lot of stock in dreams after that.
Ow.
Yeah, ow. it was heartbreaking at the time, but you know, he had been with her for a long time, but I had no idea consciously that he had a girlfriend. But the dream showed me this. And so I thought this was amazing. Actually, everybody in that circle of people thought it was pretty dark because he's not really, was not a bad guy at all. Anyway, they ended up getting married. They've been married for many, many years. Like, I don't know how many years, 40 years or something. And they have—
He's not the buyer of this piece, is he?
No.
Okay.
But they have a daughter, and her name is Natasha. And so because of the hat, I named her Natasha. But I also got this little thrill out of using the name. So that was my sort of reconciliation with that chapter in my past.
Yeah. Because a man has purchased this, and I was thinking, oh, maybe that's him.
No.
The detail on this piece is really beautiful. Here's some more little wallies.
So riffing with the red jammies one has the underglaze transfers of bugs and then some other materials there. And then the devil one is, you know, I just etched into the clay on that.
That orange, oh man.
That is just, yeah, layering of different colors.
It's really intense. It's like velvet.
This is rhododendron number 3. I've done I've done different stages of rhododendrons in bloom, and I think this is my favorite one. I got the contrast right, and it's a reduction. So 1 block for, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably 7. Can I say it? 7? Let's see. I think that's seven colors on 1 block, including white, but that's cut out first. So that's all I have to say about that.
And so even, again, that part that looks black, isn't that a really deep green right there, or is it
purple? It's actually purple. I rarely, unless I'm doing a Day of the Dead series, I almost never use black. I use color. I struggle with color, so I really pay attention to it. So the purple, it fights with that green, so it gives it an appearance of black.
But again, it's so, you can really see the depth in there when you see it in person.
Yes, thank you. Oh, this is actually going to be one of the first rollouts for the Manila walls.
Oh, this is going to be the wallpaper?
Yes.
That's a bold choice. Wow. Because they are, what size, and are they doing them at the same size as you?
The wallpaper that's coming out is 20 inches. So I've
learned is the image the same size, like the big leaves?
Well, I tried. For example, now that I'm smarter, I know how to plan better. But for example, Bob's deciduous azalea is 36 inches, and it had to be almost halved in size. I'm kind of bummed out about the size. I wanted it to be really bold and big, huge. But that would be something that had to be in a mural.
Yeah,
So,
this is an old wall.
That will be pretty close to original size.
Wow. Is Bob's deciduous, is that yellow and gold?
The big, huge one. Yeah, the big red one.
Yeah. But this would be a really bold wall. That would be gorgeous. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Or either that or I put Natasha in twice. Yep, I put her in. I do, again, a lot of cut and paste. I didn't get it wrong. So more jammies.
Yep. So the jammies again, and the rosy head was a case of painting with a bunch of engobes that I mixed up based on local ceramist Richard Brandt, a recipe I got from him some years ago, and then scratching into the surface sgraffito, and then putting a wash of dark orange on there.
Yeah, I like the little skulls on there too.
You can't really tell the seams right here, but this is a 4-block, 2-color. The 4 blocks repeat.
You can barely see the seams in there.
Yeah, so that is actually 4, 8, what is that, 12, 16 prints sewn together.
It's very calming. It's a calming pattern.
Yes.
See it like
So
in your meditation room.
I would like to actually, if I go through all of the evergreen trees with those kind of patterns, you know, take a segment and repeat.
Yeah.
So that's the first of many.
I like it that the orientation of those, Gail, and the ferns, how they all point down. It's
Yeah.
very soothing. You know, the fern leaves are all sort of going down that way instead of having things go every which way.
Maybe that's what makes it so relaxing. Yeah, it's like you're inside a bough or something. You know, you're if you were up in the tree, that's how it would look. They'd kind of be like that.
It's a subtle repeat.
Mm-hmm. These little guys, more tattoos. I love the tattoo glove girl with her spider on her head.
Yes. So
I'm gendering her. I'm assuming she's a girl.
what's that?
I'm assuming she's a girl.
Yes, she's definitely a girl. She has the black pigtails. And yeah, and the other one is about the crackle.
Yeah.
Love the crackle.
Yeah.
Over the virus, this is the new, I think I mentioned I'm moving away from single reduction prints that take me 2 months to, I'm cutting up, making 4 plates. This is a 4-plate repeating pattern with that drop, it's half drop. That's it, it's called half drop. So I was kind of running low on my favorite paper, and I thought, it took me 2 months to get a big roll of Arch's roll of paper, and I was kind of hung up, so I started cutting up some old books I'd collected in the free libraries, and I got out my sewing machine. I'm trashing my machine by sewing paper together to this right size, so it fit right through the press, and I really like how that machine sewing has interrupted the pattern as well.
So you're sewing you're machine sewing the paper together before you print?
Yeah, I just
From a book about trees? I didn't know that part. That's awesome.
What was that?
It's a book about trees. That's a nice tie-in.
I'll print on it.
Yeah.
So there is hand sewing and machine sewing in this piece. It's actually built for Day of the Dead and the reverence of of our ancestors. So this is also a part of my Day of the Dead offering. It's your grandma's rose.
They're beautiful. And I think a few more Day of the Dead, space dress, and the little tissue.
Yes, just continuing to riff here, and
yeah, I mean they just speak for themselves. They're it's the concept of the Wallies is the idea, and then I can see how they just keep growing and growing. Yeah. And this is a wallpaper, right?
Yeah, this has been really successful, and I believe this might be one of my last ones available. Sold all the rest. This is also going to be available in Manila Walls wallpaper. So this is a reduction. It's 1 block for all colors. I carve out the white first, and then I usually print light to dark, but in the last color is obviously that teal. I might have hit that twice.
And that's a beautiful, that sort of greenish, it's kind of like a celadon color, that it's greener than it looks, at least on my monitors. Well, it looks right on, it looks different on my two monitors I'm running. It's a very pretty kind of minty color, mint green almost in the back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's got good texture, and the wallpaper is going to be upside down. So it's like, Sarah, you were mentioning that things like to cascade down. I like to cascade down, but for whatever reason, the print was scanned in upside down, and it's going to be printed as wallpaper going up. So I kind of like it that way. I decided, I like it.
It's like an arbor. It has a look of an arbor to me too.
That tree's in my backyard.
I have one right behind the studio too. I adore dogwood.
Yeah.
Though I'm allergic to it apparently, but I love the way it looks.
And I think I think this is the last, no, maybe it's not the last slide. So 2 more, and I like these little wired guys with the articulated joints on some of these. They're really cute.
Yeah, these two look like a couple, don't they?
They do go together very well.
Maybe she should be Senora, not Senorita.
Maybe so. Well, we don't know his story.
Or maybe she's worried about that.
Maybe they're courting. He's chiming her.
She's like, ooh.
Yeah, see, this is what we could do when we used to have our openings in the gallery, right? We could tell stories about, about all the art. And that's it. That is everybody. And I think we are 2 minutes. We're almost 7 o'clock on the dot. So any other questions? We're a little group because most of Portland's out of town. Any other things? This is kind of unsightly being on there. So let me quit screen sharing. And go back to here, back to where I am. So thank you so much for sharing those. And yeah, definitely come in the gallery. This has been recorded, so people, I'll get it tonight, and I'll post the link tonight to this talk, and then people can see that and join us on the 20th when you do some demos. I think, Gail, did you talk about bringing your press into the gallery?
No, actually, I can do it right here.
You can do it here. Okay, we can have a little demo. Okay.
We'll just set it all up right here, and you can see it all.
That'll be great. That'll be, and Sarah, I would love to see the sort of the start to finish with the collages. It's interesting to take your 2D, like you make a whole 2D artwork first, and then bring that into the ceramic. That sounds fun to talk
Yes,
about.
and hopefully I'll have my iPad by then so I can actually do this from the studio instead of the basement office.
That would be nice. Yeah. Or we can, we'll work someday. You've got till the 20th. We'll make that work. We would like to do the things from the gallery. The sound is bad there, and it's just, it's noisy on the street, and it just doesn't work. So for now, we are relegated to our homes.
Oh, it's so much easier to not schlep everything too.
Definitely we've been able to see awesome demos that we would never have been able to do in the gallery, and I think people enjoy that. See, I think I've got somebody on the chat that had a question, either that or it's the same question.
I'll tell you, openings, working in an opening, it's 5 hours, and I get home and it takes me 4 or 5 hours just to dial down from it. So this is kind of a lot less hectic.
It is, it's real chill, and then you just sort of, and at openings, people end up talking about everything else, sometimes the art doesn't get the attention that it deserves. Although I do miss seeing everybody. I wonder about some of the folks that we, some of our regulars that we see at the openings. I hope everybody's doing well. Anything else before I'm going to go ahead and stop recording? So I will say
thank you everyone for coming out.
Thank you everyone who showed up, and thank you everyone who's watching the recording. And we'll see you on the 20th of September at noon. And we'll record that one as well, but it's always more fun to be there in person so you can ask the questions and stuff. So thanks for stopping by. So I'm going to stop.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.